What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into episode number 728 of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's an opening day preview episode, everyone. It's one of my favorite episodes of the year. Baseball is back, and my oh my, do we have a lot to dive into. We're going to preview the Phillies season. We're going to preview some baseball props. We're going to give you some fun props for the season to look at. We also have the ever so fun return of the Platinum Plunk Award, which we will dive into, especially if you're new to the program. I just gave Harrison a rundown of it, and he is so excited to dive into that as well. We will also have some fun news for you from us because we have a lot going on this week here at the company. And we'll dive into that March Madness, or the lack thereof madness. Plus, we have an awesome interview with student media member Tyler Lochte from the University of Maryland, who was on the call for the lone buzzer beater of the opening weekend of March Madness. I sat down with Tyler earlier this week, got his thoughts on just giving the call. We kind of broke it down. Harrison's fascinating as like the triangle where he's got a job to do. He's also a fan of the University of Maryland basketball, and he's also a student. So kind of like blending all three of those together and what it means, for Maryland and I think it's one of the best new era nicknames of a college basketball team, the Crab Five, and what it means for them to be moving on to the Sweet 16 and their chances against Florida, plus a whole lot more. Tyler was awesome. So definitely stay around for that interview later on in the show. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at Underground PHI across the board. We're on every platform. Plus, we got a lot going on this weekend. Your boy and Stevie Mac will be at the Truist Championship PGA Tour Media Day as you guys are listening to this. And then on Friday, I'll be at Philly Sneak Peek Night, getting all the insights and all the new looks at everything coming to Citizens Bank Park this season. I'm very excited to be able to be a part of that. You'll want to follow us on the socials because we have a lot of stuff coming for you this weekend. Subscribe to the pod. Subscribe to the pod. I'll say it one more time. Subscribe to the pod. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave us a 5-star review. It genuinely goes such a long way for helping not only this show continuing to grow, but every show on the network. So keep subscribing on audio. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. That is where you get full video episodes of this show twice a week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. We obviously have our March Madness live streams going on throughout the tournament, powered by FOCO. Steve and I did a little TGL championship live watch along last night, which was electric. Harrison, I think next year when the TGL rolls around, I'm going to get you into the TGL because I think it's the best thing that has hit the golf world ever. It's so much fun. But we did a little TGL live stream. It was a ton of fun there. Definitely go run and check that out. It's on our channel right now as well. Plus, we'll have a whole bunch of stuff from PGA Tour Media Day, Philly Sneak Peek Night coming to the YouTube channel, and video content that you won't want to miss. So youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. We're currently at 1,049 subscribers. That means we're 51 away from 1,100. Keep subscribing. Leave a like on the video, drop a comment in the comment section, and click that bell icon so you know whenever new videos go live. And this show is proudly presented by the City of Vineland, and the City of Vineland Municipal Calendar features city-organized, city-sponsored, and city-affiliated events that are of public interest. The calendar, which is accessible at vinelandcity.org, is a good way for residents and visitors to build awareness, remain engaged with city government, and participate in local events. You can also follow the City of Vineland on social media via their Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube pages. And through these tools, you can stay connected to the community and get important announcements about programs and services offered by the city. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season. And big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast.
I'm Mayor Anthony Finucci. If you're looking for the right location, think Vineland, New Jersey. Our pro-business approach is supported by financial incentives, workforce development programs, and other resources which can give your business a competitive edge. Whether you're starting a new business or expanding to new markets, our business environment, infrastructure, accessibility, and quality of life make Vineland an ideal location. More information about how we can help your business grow can be found at vinelandcity.org. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season.
Harrison, what's popping, my friend? It feels like it's been like the longest week, the shortest week, and everything in between type week, and it feels like it's been forever since you and I have sat down to record.
I know it was just a week ago, and a week ago at this point, I was just getting home after a long day behind the wheel of the car. Now I just got back from Philadelphia, had a little career fair that I went to at the Wells Fargo Center, and nice little time there. And yeah, nothing else really. Just getting ready to go back to Indiana within the next couple days, and watched Daredevil last night. Watched some basketball. Getting ready for Phillies baseball. Nothing new.
That we are. And we're going to preview this full Philly season. As you guys are listening to this, we'll be on the precipice of opening day. First pitch at 3:05 down there in D.C. as the Phils open up on the road. First things first, the rotation is still going to be nasty, even though Ranger Suarez, like we mentioned last episode, is going to be starting the season on the injured list. Taijuan Walker will be your fifth starter, but he won't pitch until April 3rd due to the off days kind of allowing you to maneuver Zach Wheeler starts to have two within your first couple of games, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But down in DC, the Phillies will be throwing Zach Wheeler, Jesus Luzardo, Aaron Nola. And to me, that's just filth after filth after filth against a young Nationals team that they're trying to make some noise, so you can't take them lightly. But I love the 1-2-3 punch of those three kind of getting the season going for the Phils.
Yeah, I mean, they're some of the best pitchers in baseball. I mean, a 1-2 punch is possibly the best 1-2 punch in baseball, apart from maybe like Yamamoto and Sasaki, even though we haven't seen too much of them yet. But on paper, that should be a phenomenal 1-2. But having that 1-2-3 for the Phils, that's going to get us started on the right note. Now we just got to hope that the bats are alive to help back up the pitching. Because that seems like it's always been an issue with the Phillies. Like, when the bats are alive, the pitching is somehow off their game. And when the pitching's on their game, the bats disappear. So if we can get started the season on the right note with the bats hitting home runs out of the park, doubles, singles, hell, maybe even triples, and then Wheeler, Knowles, and the rest of them just stepping up to the bump and throwing 98, 99 mile per hour strikeouts, throwing a couple nice off-speed pitches as we know everybody in the rotation has some nice off-speeds, and just shut down Washington, not let them get anything going. I think that'll get the season started on the right note. And again, you cannot judge a baseball team based on the first month or the first 2 months even. But it would be nice to get a nice little lead out in the NL East to make sure that the Braves and the Mets stay as far behind us as humanly possible so that we can lock up that 1 seed when it gets down to the nitty-gritty.
So here is the depth chart going into the season, kind of finalized roster and everything.
Yep.
Your rotation: Zach Wheeler, Jesus Luzardo, Aaron Nola, Christopher Sanchez will be your home opener starter on Monday. Taijuan Walker will be your fifth starter. He will be pitching on April 3rd. And then Ranger Suarez will be back when he's back from the injured list. And then obviously, second half of the season, Andrew Painter is going to be joining, according to Rob Thompson, going to be joining the rotation. And then they will extend the rotation to a 6-man rotation, which is very exciting. Your bullpen: Jordan Romano, Matt Strahm, Jose Alvarado, who had one of the most impressive springs I've seen in a long time, Orion Kerkering, Joe Ross, Jose Ruiz, Tanner Banks, and the newly acquired Carlos Hernandez from the Kansas City Royals. Your catching duo is JT Realmuto and Rafael Marchand. Garrett Stubbs will start the year at Lehigh Valley for the main reason he had an option remaining. Marchand did not. You didn't want to risk losing Marchand because outside of him, there's no catching depth remotely ready to come up for the Phillies. So that is why a major reason why Marchand made the team. The biggest concern I have with him is he seems to always get injured. He needs to stay healthy. That's the biggest thing. He needs to stay healthy.
Mhm.
Your first base depth chart, obviously headlined by Bryce Harper, then Alec Boehm, and your third first baseman on the depth chart who made the roster as your quote-unquote 26th man, Cody Krementz. Second
Okay.
base, Bryson Stott, Edmundo Sosa, followed by Cody Clemens. Third base, Alec Boehm, Edmundo Sosa, followed by Cody Clemens. Shortstop, Trey Turner, Edmundo Sosa, Bryson Stott. Left field, Max Kepler, Brandon Marsh, Cody Clemens. Center field, Brandon Marsh, Johan Rojas, Edmundo Sosa. Rojas has also changed his number from 18 to 23.
Interesting.
Your right field depth is a little slim, but the Iron Man, Nick Castellanos, out there manning right field. Brandon Marsh, the depth behind him. And then Kyle Schwarber, your DH, and Nick Castellanos and Alec Boehm listed as your DH replacements if need be.
Mhm.
I like the roster. I mean, to me, Harrison, like comparing this to last year's roster where you were going in with Marsh in left field, Rojas in center field, Kepler in left, Marsh in center, to me is an upgrade. And that's no slight to Johan Rojas. I just think Brandon Marsh is a better center fielder than he is a left fielder. And I think Max Kepler is just an overall better outfielder and better hitter for what this team needs now. And while I would love for Johan Rojas to get everyday playing time, he's got to earn it. And, you know, I think he's a good piece off the bench. He's got the speed that you can utilize late in games. I like the outfield going into the season far more than I did at any point last year, and that includes post-trade deadline, which I think the outfield got worse when you acquired Austin Hayes, and I know he had the kidney issue. I just don't think Austin Hayes was the right move at the trade deadline to begin with. You needed an additional move. Max Kepler, we've talked about it a ton on this show and off pod. You and I are so excited for Max Kepler to be a part of this team. I was excited from the moment we signed him. But after seeing what he did all spring, how I think he's going to adjust to being an everyday player at Citizens Bank Park, where in his career he has had success, Phillies fans are going to love Max Kepler. And people who, when the signing happened, kind of poo-pooed it or downplayed how awesome of a signing it was for what you got Max Kepler at, you're going to look like absolute stooges.
Oh, yeah. And I really think Rojas could do with maybe a send down to AAA just for like a week, maybe 2 weeks, help him work on his hitting game because he's a damn good center. Like when he's playing well, he's a damn good outfielder.
He's unbelievable in the outfield.
Yes. And again, he's got the speed. He's a great pinch runner. But his batting leaves much to be desired. And he has these flashes, these glimpses, and you're like, oh my God, he can hit really well. And once he gets going, you know, he hits a nice little dribbler into the outfield. He can turn what should be a single into a double. If he hits a nice little shot out to right, out to left, he can turn what could be a double into a triple. He's just got that speed. But the issue is
he's first to third speed.
He has first to third speed. But the bat is so inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
He'll have one hit and then not have another hit for the next 15 to 20 at-bats. And that's the most infuriating part of his game because you can tell he's going to be a damn good ball player. And he's still so young.
And I think the fun part too, like, not to cut you off there, but I think the fun part too, like defensive late in games, say, Nick may not be on his game at some point, whatever it may be, or you have enough of a lead, you can get Nick off of his feet.
Yep.
You can then move Max Kepler to his traditional right field spot. You can put Marsh in left, and then you can bring Rojas in as a defensive replacement in center and have an unbelievable defensive outfield. Not that Nick is a poor defensive outfielder, because ever since he's taken over the role in right field, he's been spectacular. But
he's got a frozen rope of an arm.
You can get him off his feet a little bit, especially after last year playing in every single game for the team. Get him off his feet a little bit late in games and keep him fresh, and allow Rojas to utilize his defensive skill sets, which I think is his number one asset.
And, if late in games he gets one at-bat, that's perfect. That'll give him an at-bat a game to really start honing in on his craft. And I hope he's been getting pitches from the jug machine or something during this.
He played in the Dominican Winter League, and he was hitting the ball really, really well. Now, granted, you take that with a grain of salt, because no slight to the Dominican Winter League, it's not major league pitching that you're facing every single day.
Yeah, you're not facing guys who can throw 98, 99 consistently. You're facing guys who are throwing,
You maybe do that once every 4 games.
Yeah. The more consistent speed you're seeing is like 89, 90 miles an hour. And then the off-speed pitches come in a lot slower and set up well more for the batter more frequently than they would in the MLB. But again, you get one good at-bat per game for Rojas, really start to get his confidence up. Maybe he starts stringing together a few good at-bats, a couple games back to back to back. That'll get him to a place where he needs to be in order for him to eventually take up the role once the other outfielders get a little bit older and start, fading their way more towards like a DH kind of role instead of someone who plays in the outfield.
Let's also not forget that Justin Crawford is starting the year at AAA Lehigh Valley at 21 years old. So on top of that, there is a little bit of pressure on a Johan Rojas and on Brandon Marsh even to perform, because Justin Crawford, the Phillies believe in him a lot. They didn't trade him at the deadline last year because of that. He's right there ready to come up at any given time.
And I think Marshy will be able to deal with that pressure really well, as will Rojas. It feels like we are stacked in the outfield department. There's so many good options that are both young and not even in the system yet. They're in the farm system, not in the major leagues. That even when the infield gets a little bit older, and the infield's still really young. Bryce Harper's the oldest infielder as of right now? Or is it Trey?
Bryce is 32, Trey is 31. Stott is 27 and Bohm is 28 or 29.
That's a young infield in the MLB. So I think this team has the staying power.
Yeah, Bohm's 28. He'll be 29 in August.
This team has staying power. And I know the Mets had some very splashy signings this offseason. And the Braves did pretty well this offseason too. But I don't see either of those teams really beating us for first in the NL East.
I'm not scared of either of those teams.
No.
Because, sure, the Mets signed Soto, and I brought this up a couple of episodes in a row recently. The Mets rotation does nothing for me. Kodai Senga is obviously a talented pitcher, and he's, the one in their rotation. But their opening day starter is Clay Holmes, who was a reliever for the Yankees the last couple of years. Exactly. Their rotation sucks. Their bullpen outside of Diaz sucks. The Braves, Sean Murphy starting the season on the injured list, their catcher.
Yep.
Last year Acuna's coming off another knee injury. We'll see how he bounces back.
That man has glass knees, I swear to God.
Ozzie Albies was hurt a ton last year. Austin Riley was hurt last year. Matt Olson, I think, is kind of starting to slow down a bit from what he was. Michael Harris II, very talented. He's a dog. But they signed Jurickson Profar, and Jurickson Profar is kind of like Nick Foles of baseball, where when he's away from the Padres, he sucks. So we'll see, how that pans out. Yeah, he'll go back to San Diego in June and be raking again.
Yeah.
But the Braves, and pitching wise, the Braves, Spencer Strider's coming off Tommy John surgery.
Yep.
Max Fried left to go to the Yankees.
Yep.
Not that Max Fried scared me all that much, but like that's another like top of the rotation pitcher from the Braves the past couple of years gone.
Yep.
Like, you're telling me I'm supposed to be terrified of Spencer Schwellenbach?
You know, the only thing that really terrified me about Max Fried was when he was introduced as a Yankee and his mustache was gone. He looked like a child.
He looks like Skeletor with that jawline.
We meet again.
But like the Braves, like Reynaldo Lopez has apparently like not looked good. Chris Sale is 100 years old. Grant Holmes looks like he's straight out of Eastbound and Down or Trailer Park Boys. And then AJ Smith-Shawver, like none of these guys scare me except for Strider, and he's still on the injured list to start the season.
Yeah. With the Mets, they're gonna put up 7-8 runs a game and then lose that game 9-8, 8-7. The Braves, if we get like a couple runs ahead of them early, we're not letting go of that lead. And then the Marlins and the Nats don't count as teams.
So the Nationals, I think, are going to be like a sneaky like team. Like they have talent. I'll give the Nationals credit. They have talent. They're not ready yet, but they're going to be like one of those like pain in the ass teams that like you cannot take them lightly. Otherwise, they're going to like beat the piss out of you.
The Nationals, I'm trying to find a team that reminds me of them in another sport. You know, they remind me of the Toronto Raptors. They won a championship in the same year as each other, and then faded into obscurity immediately afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust that team. I trust them about as far as I can throw them. And eventually they will be good again, but they're not going to reach the heights of 2019 for quite some time.
No, like they have the young talent. Like Luis Garcia Jr. at second base is stupid talented. CJ Abrams is literally, his nickname is the Martian. James Wood is going to be unbelievable for the next decade. Jacob Young is very annoying. And he's a talented player. Dylan Cruz is a dog. Josh Bell, who is, a thorn in the Phillies side, is on that team. He's their DH, so we have to start the season 3 games against Josh Bell, which is annoying. But, like Paul DeYoung is starting at third base for them. He's trying to have a bounce back year this year. Like Nathaniel Lowe, talented player. Is he like a future like first baseman for them? That remains to be seen. Keibert Ruiz, this is like a big prove it year for him, I think. But their rotation, like outside of Mackenzie Gore, like Mike Soroka is in their rotation, former Brave. Trevor Williams, who's like 100 years old. Mitchell Parker, Jake Irvin, like they're beatable pitchers outside of Mackenzie Gore, who I think is still really talented. But the Nationals, the Nationals could like fuck around and win like 85 games if everything goes right for them. Not saying that gets them into the playoffs, because I think the Braves, the Mets, and the Phillies are all better overall teams than the Nationals, but
90+ win teams.
Yeah.
And it's very hard for everything to go right in a single season. So I think realistically for the Nationals, we're looking at 75, 80 wins for them, which is not bad. But it's definitely a team that's like on the cusp of being where they need to be. Meanwhile, the Marlins, the fish.
That's one of our props that we'll get into as well, is the team to finish with the worst record. We do that on the show every year, and we kind of track that as well. Before we keep going, though, I want to talk to you guys about our awesome pals over at 47 brand. Harrison, I have some fun news. I am going to be at opening day on Monday.
Yes, sir.
I'll be at opening night on Wednesday. And then I will also be at the series finale against the Rockies on Thursday. So I will be at the first 3 home games to start the year this year, which I'm very excited about. And you better bet your ass I will be at the 47 brand alley store at Citizens Bank Park every single day. I love 47 brand. I'm wearing this hat that I have right now, Harrison. Dope 47 brand hat with the Rawlings patch.
Oh,
nice little gold glove homage there. 47 47's the best. I love the hitch style hat. It is my go-to hat of choice whenever I'm putting a hat on my head, which is more often than not, just because I am genuinely of the belief that your hat makes your outfit. Shop 47 brand. They have new drops coming every single week, every single day, it feels like. And shop for your favorite baseball fan, football, basketball, hockey, college, minor league baseball, NASCAR. Guys, I say it all the time when I do the ad read, but I genuinely mean it. I'm not even the biggest NASCAR fan, but their NASCAR merchandise is second to none. Use our link in the description. You get free shipping on all orders when you join the 47 family by using our link. So use our link, shop 47 brand, and get free shipping on all orders. I just got this in the mail, actually, Harrison.
Let me see.
Nice little sale item, perfect for those City Connect nights.
Woo.
All on 47 brand's website. So check it out. Use our link. Get free shipping from our friends at 47 brand.
So, real quick, before we get back into it, about the City Connect stuff. I love everything about the City Connect stuff for the Phillies except for the jerseys themselves. Like, the hats, the logos, this jacket I have that is, like, genuinely so dope. And then the jerseys.
Did you go to a City Connect game last year?
No, I was at a powder blue game last year.
Okay. I challenge you to go to a Friday night game potentially if you have the opportunity to this season.
Okay.
When you see them on the players in person.
It looks
now,
a lot better.
This is coming from somebody who, when I saw them at first, I was a fan of the way they looked. When I saw them in person, I liked them even more. And when I saw them on the players, I was like, we are so lucky that these are our City Connect uniforms.
Okay.
They look impeccable under the lights.
Okay. So I'm going to have to get to a Friday game this year just to see how they look in person, because on TV, they just aren't doing it for me.
They look great in person.
Okay.
Like, the way that the lights reflect off of, like, the ombre and the gradient is awesome. I'm a huge proponent of the City Connects.
You know what would have made me like it maybe a little bit more is if instead of doing black into like that blue color.
Well, here's the thing too. This is why you need to see them in person. It's navy blue into the blue. It's not black.
No, I've always assumed it was black. I thought it was black and okay. But what I was gonna say is like maybe a maroon into the powder blue. I think that would work. I think that would look pretty cool.
So you know why it's the colors though, right?
Philly City flag, right? Yeah. I mean,
the
blue and
the dark is navy blue, and then it ombres into that lighter blue, like that electric blue.
I kind of assumed it was black because the jacket I have, it's black with like the blue trim, and that jacket is sick. I got it on clearance too. What normally was a $70 jacket, I got for like $35.
Hachi, that's a steal. Yeah, I love the City Connects, and the more and more teams get their actual City Connects or they replace their City Connects with new ones, the more and more I'm like, holy cow, did the Phillies get lucky with their City Connect uniforms.
You know which one I actually really, really like? I love the Nationals one with the cherry blossoms.
So Harrison, everyone, let's have a moment of silence here.
No.
The cherry blossoms were retired. They're gone. They have a new City Connect uniform this year. It's not awful, but it's nowhere remotely close to the City Connects that they had prior with the cherry blossoms. But yeah, the cherry blossoms, RIP. That was the best one. That was the best one, hands down.
Why would you get rid of the cherry blossoms?
Cherry blossoms are gone.
It just makes
it's exactly what I said when the Union got rid of their light blue.
The lightning one. And don't get me wrong, the new light blue one, it's cool, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a damn shame. That's one of the really good things the Nationals had going for them too.
That was the best City Connect uniform in all of baseball, in my opinion.
Yes, I totally agree with the branches and it was perfect. And then
beautiful.
Let me see what.
Yeah, they just announced their new one. It's cool. I think the Phillies' current City Connect is better.
I would agree with you on that one. This one just kind of feels like,
I think it's still like a top 10 because apparently some teams are getting new City Connects this year. I'm pissed the Marlins are getting new ones because I think the Marlins City Connect is
what
very
the
good.
red and the blue one.
The sugarcane homage.
Yeah. Like, okay. I like the new Nationals design, but like
It's good. It's not great.
the old one had me debating on whether I wanted to buy it or not, even though I'm a
Right.
Phillies.
Right.
And that's what a good jersey does.
It
The
was
Astros
elite.
new city are kind of clean.
See, I like their old ones better with the Space City on it rather than Stroh's.
But I like that kind of rockety feel, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The Dodgers is Let's see. Are there any other new ones that have been announced? Doesn't look like it.
I know the Cubs, I think, are getting a new one. The Marlins are getting a new one.
The Tampa Bay Rays one should never change. I love the Tampa
Yeah,
Bay.
that one's really good. I like that one a lot. That one's dope.
Yeah.
But yeah, Philly City Connects. I'm a big fan of them. I hate that they make you eliminate a jersey. I don't think you should have to limit your jersey count because of the City Connects. That's my one gripe. But I do love the Philly City Connect. Just merchandise and all of that.
You know which other one I really love too? San Diego Padres. Those ones are just.
It depends on the day of the week when you ask me if I like them or not.
That's fair.
Half the time, I think it looks like Turkey Hill, like sorbet ice cream.
I see that.
I just want to take a spoon to it and taste like the lime flavor there.
Yeah, and it can't be a normal spoon. It has to be one of those like little plastic johns with like barely a curve underneath. It's like it's like you're working with nunchucks, but like tiny and connected.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't wait to be at Citizens Bank Park though because I'm going to be there Monday the 31st, Wednesday the 2nd, Thursday the 3rd, and then my first season ticket game is the following Sunday, April 6th.
Hell yeah.
Which is going to be incredible because that's the series finale against the Dodgers. So I'll get to see Shohei in person, which will be really cool. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to MLB preview season. Now, if you're new to the show, what we do, we go through, look at some of the potential leaders here for the Fightins in all the mainstay categories: wins, ERA, strikeouts, hits, walks, home runs, all that good stuff, stolen bases, team MVP, team Cy Young. Could those guys be the potential Major League Baseball Cy Young MVP, all of that, Silver Sluggers type shit. We will also predict the record for the Philadelphia Phillies this season.
Yep.
We will also look at some future props for the team in terms of wins and kind of compare them to ours and everything. My favorite prop to bet on, Harrison, that I have done for this will be my 4th year doing it. I love betting on Aaron Nola strikeouts for the total season.
That's always fun. Yeah.
It's always electric. We will also look at the team to finish with the worst record.
Yep.
We will also look at, along with some fun props, the Platinum Plunk Award, which if you are new to the program, this was something Pat Pitts and I introduced last year, where we will keep track of it every single Wednesday, recording Thursday episode for you guys. Harrison and I will look at the Platinum Plunk standings for Major League Baseball player, and Phillies player. And the Platinum Plunk keeps track of the player and team that have been hit by the most pitches in Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, we want this thing to evolve to where we are giving that player and that team an actual trophy.
Just shipping it off. Here you go. Hey, congratulations. You got hit hard.
You're a big team guy.
Yeah, big team guy. Yeah, you put your body on the line for your teammates, and that's the best thing possible.
So here is the fun thing, Harrison. As we look here, where is team wins? Here we go. So we'll give our team wins after, but just to give you everyone a little context, the Phillies team regular season wins over under right now. The number is 91.5. The over is plus 100. The under is minus 120. So it's almost a pick 'em. Almost a pick 'em. But
okay.
That's for a little context. And for some other context, the Mets regular season over under in terms of winning the division and things like that. The Mets is truly at a pick 'em at over under 90.5. And then the Atlanta Braves are set at
what, 92?
Where are
I'm gonna guess it.
93.5.
93.5.
The over is minus 120 and the under is plus 100. So
okay.
Phillies, Braves, and Mets all within a really close proximity in terms of wins.
Basically a 3-win differential for the three of them.
Yeah. So Harrison, I think we will start with who we believe the team MVP is going to be in 2025. This can be any player, any position, doesn't have to be a hitter. It can be a pitcher. It can be a reliever. It can be anything that you, and this is your interpretation of what MVP means in the sport of baseball and in sports alone. So who is your Phillies team MVP for 2025?
So when you said Phillies team MVP, there were two names that popped to the forefront of my brain. And it's going to really depend on, whether they can stay healthy, whether they're going to be able to perform at the same rate as last season. But the two names that came directly to me were Zach Wheeler and Bryce Harper. Just because when Bryce Harper's on his game and healthy, he can transform the nature of the game in an instant. We could be down by 3, and, it's the bottom of the ninth, bases loaded. Bryce Harper walks up. There's always a 50-50 chance he hits a home run in that kind of situation. He is, without a doubt in my mind, the team leader. He is the one who put this squad together for the most part. He's the one who brought JT. He's the one who brought over Trey Turner. He is that glue guy, and without a doubt, the best non-pitcher on our team. Now, for Zach Wheeler, he's possibly the best pitcher in baseball. Whenever he's on the mound, I say we have a above 90% chance of winning that game. So, for me, it's whether Wheeler or Harper can get through the year healthy. I think it's going to go to Wheeler, though. That Wheeler's my choice.
Okay. I like that. I have a fun one because I think he's bound to have an awesome year. And I think if the Phillies are going to succeed, a lot is going to ride on this particular player performing at a high level. My team MVP is going to be Bryson Stott.
I like that. I like that a lot.
We know Bryson Stott had the elbow injury in early May of last year, and it really derailed his season from a hitting perspective. He was having an unbelievable spring. The entire spring training, he was unreal. I think if the Phillies are going to have success, it's going to be predicated on Bryson Stott performing at the plate and being the Bryson Stott we saw in 2023 at the plate with the disciplined plate approach, drawing walks, working counts against pitchers. If Bryson Stott's able to do that, coupled with what Max Kepler does in that same vein, what Brandon Marsh is going to be expected to do this year, that's going to be key. My team MVP in 2025 is going to be Bryson Stott.
Yep. I can see that happening too, because his importance in the team has gone up year by year. And again, the only reason last year he wasn't performing at the same rate he was 2 years ago was because of that elbow injury. That really screwed him up for a little bit. But now that he's fully healthy again, I could see him putting in an MVP caliber season. An MVP doesn't necessarily mean the best player on the team. It means who's most important. And that's still why I'm a little bit pissed about Saquon not winning MVP, because he was the
the most
MVP.
valuable player.
Yes, he was one of the biggest reasons we made the Super Bowl. What happened to the Bills? What happened to the Ravens? But I digress. It could be any one of those guys in the infield, realistically. And honestly, I could see Marsh throwing his name into the MVP conversation there too. I feel like it really is going to come down to whether Wheeler or Harper can be that MVP, not just team MVP, but Cy Young, Silver Slugger, NL MVP type of player that we know they can be. And if they are, that's a game changer.
And Wheeler's been snubbed to the Cy Young twice in the last 4 years. So, speaking of Cy Young, your Phillies Cy Young for 2025. This can be a starter. This can be a reliever. It doesn't, dissociate there. Who is your team Cy Young for 2025?
I mean, if I picked Zach Wheeler to be our team MVP, I think he's going to have to be our team Cy Young too. Now, I could see one of our relievers, maybe like a Matt Strahm or someone like that, be putting in some major importance. But I just got to give it to my guy, Zach. He's him. He's really just him. He's got one of the best pitching arsenals in the MLB, and his arm is insane. And he's still relatively young, too. So, yeah, I'm going Zach Wheeler.
I am going with the hot, trendy pick because I believe in this guy. I have believed in this guy for a long, long time. And people at home probably thinking I'm talking about Aaron Nola. I do think Aaron Nola is going to have a great year. That's my guy through and through. But I think the team Cy Young this year is going to be Christopher Sanchez.
I knew that's who you're going to say. Yep.
I just think the way he has progressed from first full year in the rotation to the next year, so forth, so how he's performed in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I just think he's poised to have like an unbelievable season, even more so than last year. And it won't shock me if he's flirting with 12 to 15 wins this year. Not that wins predicate if you're a great pitcher or not, but I think we could see Christopher Sanchez with a 14 win sub 280 ERA season, which would be unbelievable from your technically number 4 starter.
I could see that happening too. He looked great in spring training too. So
big fan. I think Sanchez going to have an unbelievable year. Harrison, your Phillies 2025 comeback player of the year. Player that's bound to bounce back, make a name for themselves, and really, get back to where we think said player can be.
I'm going to take your team MVP. It's going to be Bryson Stott. Because, again, last year he was dealing with that injury. And this year I feel like he wants his get back. He wants to prove that 2 years ago was not some fluke. He's going to be out there playing some damn good second base. And I think he's going to get his hitting figured out too. Now, I could also say Ranger Suarez because he had a great start to last year. But then he had his back injury, and he kind of fell off. It's no fault of his own. A back injury is a back injury. But, I could see him getting it all together again this year and having a full year of what we saw at the beginning of that year, an all-star caliber year. So, for me, it's between Bryson Stott and Ranger Suarez, but I'm going to have to go with Bryson Stott.
I like the pick. Obviously, I picked him as my team MVP. My comeback player of the year, simply predicated off of what I saw from him in the spring and what I think he's going to do with a lot less pressure on him in terms of where he'll be performing at his designated position. I am going with one Jose Alvarado.
I like that too. Yeah.
Last year he had a 4.09 ERA, 2-5 record out of the bullpen in 66 games. pitched in 61 2/3 innings, which was the second most of his career. Gave up 49 hits, gave up 6 home runs, which was the most of his career. 28 walks, which was about like middle of the pack for his career. 63 strikeouts. His fielding independent pitching, which is a good thing to kind of compare ERA to kind of see where a pitcher truly is at in terms of pitching wise, was a 3.80. So a little bit better than his ERA, but kind of in the same ballpark almost. I think Alvarado is going to bounce back and have one hell of a year out of the bullpen for the Phils, especially when you have Strom, when you have Carlos Hernandez now, when you have Jordan Romano. I think there's going to be a lot less pressure on Alvarado to be like called upon as the guy, and you're hoping for another, forward year from Orion Kerkering. I'm going to go Jose Alvarado as my comeback player of the year.
Yeah, I could see that happening too. And he's been looking so good in spring training. All of these guys.
Which brings us, speaking of relievers, Harrison, your Phillies reliever of the year for 2025. The best reliever, or who you deem to be the relief pitcher of the season.
Now that's a tough one because there are so many great ones in our arsenal right now. I just think based on how he was playing last year, it's gonna be between Matt Strom or Alvarado. I think Orion Kerkering is still a little bit too young to be considered in this conversation, and he showed great signs. But I'm going to go with Matt Strom just because he closed out the year on a great note last year. He looked electric through his all of his appearances,
minus the playoffs. But that was the whole bullpen.
But we're talking about the regular season here. And when you saw him,
I love Matt Strom too. Like I want him on this show so badly.
Yeah. And when you saw that long hair flowing in the wind as he was getting out to the mound to take over a game, in the regular season at least, you felt this confidence and this air of just calm wash over the stadium because they're like, all right, Matt Strom's walking up. The game should be in hand at this point. So I'm going Matt Strom as my reliever of the year.
I'm going Orion Kerkering.
Orion Kerkering?
I think he's going to take that next step forward, being a guy called upon late in games, to be somebody who can like close down a core part of a lineup. It's the one out in the 8th inning. You need somebody to come in. Orion Kerkering is coming in facing, Juan Soto, Vientos, Pete Alonso. I want to see Kerkering tackle that beast. It's Acuna, it's Ozzy Albies, and Matt Olson. I want to see Kerkering be able to attack that beast.
And he's due for a big upgrade too. Like he's shown some really good flashes over these last few years. It's when he gets in his own head, and he'll do that. He's young. He's what, 24, 23, 24? Something like that?
He is 23.
Yeah, he's a kid.
He'll be 24 by the time he turns 24 April 4th.
Okay, still, he's young. You usually don't get called up to the majors this early in a pitcher's career. That just shows the confidence that the Phillies have in him. And I could definitely see him taking that next step this year. But I just think Matt Strom has the experience, and that's why I'm going Strom over Kerkering.
Here's another fun one. Last year, they set the franchise record for most in a season. Phillies total all-stars in 2025.
Ooh. So what was the record last year? 8? 9?
8.
Total all-stars this season.
Last year it was Strom, Jeff Hoffman,
Bohm,
Trey, Bryce,
Ranger,
Wheeler,
yep,
and Sanchez.
Oh, that's always tough.
It's a fun mid-season prediction.
I'm gonna say 8 again. I think we get 8. Now, who they are, I could not tell you, but I'm gonna say 8.
I'm going to try to list them out openly. Harper,
Yep.
Stott,
Yep.
Bohm,
Yep. Turner.
I'm like iffy on him right now. I don't 100% know if Trey is going to make it as an all-star or not.
Okay. Marsh.
Wheeler,
Wheeler for sure.
Sanchez.
Yep. Knowles.
I want to say Nola, but I don't know if they would just from voting perspective wise, unless he's having like an unbelievable first half. I'm going to say Jordan Romano is going to be an all-star
Okay.
as the closer.
Kleber.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say they re-break the record. I'm gonna say 10. 10
All right.
all-stars
10 All-Stars.
in some sort of combination.
Yeah. I think the locks are Harper and Wheeler.
Harper, Wheeler. Bohm might be a lock at third
Bohm
base in the
might be a
National
lock.
League.
Yeah.
I think
of many-
Sanchez is as close to a lock as well.
Yep.
And it also
But-
would not shock me if Jesus Luzardo is a
Yeah.
all-star as well.
But at least Harper and Wheeler should be locks.
It also won't shock me if Nick Castellanos is an all-star.
It wouldn't shock me if Marshy made it either.
I think the only reason Nick didn't make it last year was because he had a slow April into Memorial Day. If he didn't have that slow of a start, he's an all-star again for the second consecutive season.
I agree.
Let's see. Another category here that I have is Phillies prospect of the year. Who is going to be the prospect that shines, whether it gets them a call up to the major league club or they just shine so well that they are deemed your top prospect of 2025?
You know, this guy's been in the system for a while, and I think just because I've liked him since we drafted him, and my brother does have a connection to him. A couple of his buddies out of college knew him in high school. I'm going Mick Abel.
Okay. He needs it. He needs to have a year like that.
He needs a year like that, but if not Abel, it's going to be Crawford.
Okay.
It's either Abel or Crawford. I can see Painter being up there too, but
Painter's going to get called up by the time
the
second half rolls around too, so I'm not even like really counting him in my.
Okay, my heart says Abel. My head says Crawford. That's my final.
I need to look at. I need to look at one other roster here. Because outside of front of the program, Aaron Combs, who I think is going to have one hell of a year, and I'm going to be making a couple trips to Jersey Shore this year to watch him pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to see here. Let's see. I just need to look at the Jersey Shore roster just to see who's there, just in case. Okay, I think I have my guy. It is going to be, because I thought he had a pretty awesome spring as well. It's going to be Moses Chasse, pitcher at Reading. I think he is like the next one behind like the current crop of pitchers of like the Painters and Abel and Griff McGarry and guys like that. I think Moses Chasse is going to be a dog, and it wouldn't shock me if he gets a call up at some point this year. I think he's going to be my prospect of the year. Let me double check the Iron Pigs just to be safe.
Yep.
Because I mean, like Crawford's an obvious one for sure. It also won't shock me if Gabriel Rincones Jr. has himself a season as well. And also, I love that Emerson Castellano is probably back because he did not make the Twins opening day roster and he was a Rule 5 pick, so he is back in the organization, and I think that's a huge win. So that's amazing. But I'm gonna go with Moses Chasse. Final
like that.
answer. Final
I like
answer. Give me somebody cooking at Double A. Let's see here. Some other Phillies stats that I'm gonna pop the questions here to you, Harrison. It's fun props and everything. How many wins for your team MVP, Zach Wheeler?
Okay. Let me do some math here real quick. Okay.
For reference, for everybody listening and watching at home, in case you don't know, Zach Wheeler in a Phillies uniform, which happened in 2020, so we'll eliminate that because he only pitched in X amount of games. First full season in 2021, won 14 games. 2022, he won 12. 2023, he won 13. And then last year, won a Phillies career high 16 and an overall career high 16 games.
I think he takes it up another notch this year. I think he wins 18. I think he wins 18.
I am going to say he replicates and gets 16 again. And for reference,
even 18 feels about right.
For reference, for him to win 16 plus games on a certain sports book, it's plus 165. The 18 plus wins gets him at plus 310.
Ooh, I like that odds. I like those odds.
We will move to the next pitcher in the rotation, and that is one Aaron Nola. How many wins for Aaron Nola in 2025?
I feel like 15 is a good number for Nola.
I would love that as an Aaron Nola truther.
I'm going to lock in 15.
And for reference, everybody at home, Aaron Nola in his career, his most wins came back in 2018 with 17. Last year, he had 14. In the past 3 years, he's won a minimum of 11 games since 2022 during this postseason stretch run for the Phillies that they have been on. I'll follow you into war there and say 15 wins for Nola.
I feel like, too, there's something to be said about the coexistence of Philadelphia sports teams. And I feel like the Eagles winning the Super Bowl is going to be the kick in the ass that the Phillies need to really have all their members of the team playing in overdrive. You know?
Which brings us to the next member of the rotation, Christopher Sanchez, who won a career-high 11 games last year. Is his first full-blown year, I would consider it, as a starter. He obviously started 18 games in 2023, but last year started 31 games for the Phils. Went 11-9 last year. I am going to say Christopher Sanchez wins. I said 14 earlier. I'm going to say 14.
I like 14. I'm gonna hedge my bet and go 13 though. Like 13, 14 seems about right for Sanchez.
Which brings us to Jesus Luzardo, the newest member of this Phillies rotation, and I will get you his win totals.
Just something to build on.
From his time in Miami, obviously, so take it a little bit with a grain of salt. But
Yeah.
last year, he only played in 12 games before injury, went 3-6. 2023 was the best year of his career in terms of wins, with 10. He went 10-10. That was the year the Marlins were a wild card team. And then prior to that, not really all that much. He only pitched in 18 games in 2022, went 4-7. 2021, he only pitched in 12 games for the Marlins, went 4-5. And then in 2021, he also pitched. He started the year with the A's, went 2-4, so an overall 6-9 year in 2021, and then 2020 was his first full year starting. Which again, take that with a grain of salt, if you will, but this could be a breakout year for Jesus Luzardo in his 7th season in Major League Baseball.
So this is his first year with a real offense behind him, I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'd say probably outside of the 2023 Marlins, who had like a very competent playoff team offense, but yeah, first full season with like all-star caliber offense.
10 feels safe.
Okay.
I'm saying bare minimum 10. Maybe he gets 11, maybe he gets 12, but I'm hedging my bets again. I'm going 10.
I was going to say 11.
Yeah, perfect.
I think he gets 11. I like that for Jesus Luzardo. Brings us to Ranger Suarez, who is starting the year on the injured list. So we don't know exactly when he'll be back, per se. No pun intended there, because he's out with a back injury. For Ranger, it's tough, because he started the year so hot last year, and there's been moments for him. He's also in a contract year, so there's a lot of potential pressure there. Rangers had double-digit win seasons twice, in 2022 and last year. He went 12-8. In 2023, he went 4-6. 2022, he went 10-7. It's going to be fascinating to kind of see how things work out for Ranger this year. I am going to say Ranger gets 9 wins, and this is on the catalyst of we don't know when he's coming back from the injury yet, as we record this prior to opening day. So I'm going to say 9 wins for Ranger Suarez.
Yeah, I was going to say 8. Just because, again, you never know when he's going to come back off the IR and, whether he's healthy or not. 8 or 9 feels about right, especially considering he's probably going to play in 18, 19 games this season. And you don't know how many of those he's going to really pitch through either. Because you're going to want to, really want to hold back on getting him the full win. He's probably a guy you're going to start taking out in the 5th, 6th inning rather than let him go 7. So yeah, not 8, 9, 10. I can see and those being the range.
Which brings us to Taijuan Walker, who had 3 wins in 15 starts last year. He had 15 wins in 31 starts in 2023. I find Taijuan Walker kind of he's in an in-between of the 2 seasons in a Phillies uniform, and he really kind of fell off a little bit in that second half of 2023. And I love Taijuan Walker a lot. I've been following him his entire career. So I hate seeing him not succeed, especially because he's such a great person as well. Yeah. I'm going to say 4 wins for Taijuan Walker.
I was going to say 5. I feel like he has a little bit of a bounce back, but not big enough to get himself back out of single digits.
Mine is predicated on, I don't know how many times he's going to start, first and foremost.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there's going to be a lot of games that the Phillies offense are going to have to dig themselves out of a hole potentially. Taijuan gives up a lot of runs recently. Phillies may have to answer back, and he may be out of the game by then. So then that win gets transferred to a reliever. But I'm going to say 4 wins. You say 5. So that gives the Phillies rotation 18 wins for Wheeler for you, 15 for Nola, 13 for Sanchez, 10 for Luzardo, 8 for Ranger, 5 for Taijuan Walker. I have 16 for Wheeler, 15 from Nola, 14 from Sanchez, 11 from Luzardo, 9 from Ranger, and 4 from Taijuan Walker.
That sounds right.
And that's not coupled with, bullpen wins and things like that happen throughout a 162-game season. Who is going to be your Phillies home run leader for 2025?
Let me give you a couple hints. One, he broke the Phillies' leadoff home run record last year. Number two, he won a World Series in Chicago in 2016. And number three, he's an Indiana Hoosier, baby. I'm going with the new big unit, Mr. Kyle Schwarber. Because that man does two things: hits home runs and strikes out. And he hits a lot of home runs. So, going big bat.
I like that. I'm going to piggyback on you, but I'm also going to say we're going to have a tie for the leader in home runs. I
Okay.
think
So you got Schwarber.
I think Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper are going to go bash brothers and go pound for pound with each other and battle it out for home run supremacy, and the tiebreaker will be the postseason.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah.
Your Phillies stolen base leader for 2025.
I mean, it's got to be Trey Turner. That man is lightning on the base track. He was the leader last year too, right?
I will double check that for you in just a moment.
But Trey Turner, he's got the speed. He slides better than 95% of the other MLBers. He lightning on the track, baby.
Your Philly stolen base leaders by season. So Trey Turner had 19 last year. He obviously had the injury that kind of hampered that early on. But your stolen base leader last year was who I believe will lead the team in stolen bases, and I'm cautiously optimistic that he's going to get to 40 this year, and that is Bryson Stott.
I like that too. It's one of the two guys in the infield for me. Like I don't think, because Rojas is not going to play nearly enough and get on base nearly enough to get those stolen base opportunities. If he was, I would say him. But I feel like it's either going to be Trey Turner or Bryson Stott, and I'm going with Trey Turner.
Yeah, the leaders were Bryson Stott last year with 32, Rojas with 25, Trey Turner, Brandon Marsh tied for third with 19.
I like that.
And in terms of 2023, Bryson Stott also led by one with 31. Trey Turner had 30. JT Realmuto was third with 16.
Yeah. Okay.
Which brings us to a fun one that we've never really done on this show. Who is your dream Phillies trade deadline acquisition prior to the 2025 season?
Oh, God. Oh, just like, could this be a pipe dream? Like just anybody?
Sure.
Pipe dream? Roki Sasaki, but I know he just signed with the Dodgers, so that ain't happening.
I don't even know if he can get traded.
I don't think he can get traded.
I have mine.
Yeah, you do yours. I gotta think on this. I was not expecting the dream.
So we had reports come out that Bryce Harper was open to moving back to right field if needed.
Yeah.
To bring in a first baseman of talent. Not that Bryce Harper's not, but that's his words.
Yep, his words, not ours.
I don't think the team that this player is currently on is going to formulate an extension for him. So why not cash in? I also don't think they're going to be very good, so why not cash in? I think the Phillies trade for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at the deadline.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm piggybacking you on that, because just like my brain was drawing blanks, so I was like Freddie Freeman maybe, or like someone like that. No, I like Vlad, and I think I've talked about this on the pod before. I do have a Vladdy Toronto Blue Jays jersey because I was up at the Rogers Center last year, and I was like, I got to bring something back from Toronto, and might as well be a jersey of a player I really like. I've liked Vladdy for a while now. And I think put him in the right system with the right guys, and he can really get back to the form that he should be in. So, yeah, Vlad.
Yeah, I think Vlad could potentially be a trade deadline acquisition. That's the one that comes to mind for me as we sit here and record this. So there's that. Which brings us to that final piece, Harrison. Your Phillies win total for 2025.
Okay. I'm going to say 97.
Okay.
I think we have 97. I want to say the Braves get 95 and the Mets get 93. Just bang, bang, bang.
For reference, last year the Phillies won 95 games. I say they improve by 1. I think the Phillies win 96 this year. And I think the Phillies win 96. I think the Phillies go back-to-back, win the division. I think they go to the NLCS.
Yeah.
The Phillies go back to the World Series.
Yep.
And the Phillies are winning the whole goddamn thing. God damn it. They get their lick back.
Now, I totally agree with you there. I think the Phillies are going to be World Series champions this year. Because I bet some of them were at the Eagles parade in disguise, and they're like, man, this is a great time. I want to be on a bus next year. So I think we get 2 parades down Broad Street in 2025.
And I assume you're also saying the Phillies win the division.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We win the I say we win the pennant.
Same.
Yeah. So
so there is those predictions for the Phillies alone. We will now predict the worst team in Major League Baseball, and it's brought to you by our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. Guys, you want to stand out in the crowd this baseball season when you're going to tailgates, watching the fight-ins with your family, you're out at the games, whatever it may be, PHI Apparel Company is the place to do it with their unique designs for all. There's no doubt in our minds you will stand out in the crowd. Go to phiapparel.co or click the link in the description. And when you go to checkout, use code UNDERGROUND and you'll get 10% off your next merch order from our friends at PHI Apparel Company. Again, that's code UNDERGROUND at phiapparel.co and you'll get 10% off your next merch order from our friends at PHI Apparel Company. Stand out in the crowd this baseball season with the official merch partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. All right, Harrison, here is the very fun worst team in baseball wins total. Let me find it. Here we go. Team wins and worst record. So, odds-wise, the Chicago White Sox are the favorite to have the worst record in baseball again at minus 170. The Colorado Rockies are next on the list at plus 260. And then the Miami Marlins are third worst odds, or best odds, however you want to look at it, at plus 500. Followed by the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim at plus 2,000. The Washington Nationals at plus 3,000, as well as the Athletics at plus 3,000. Pittsburgh Pirates at plus 9,000. And then everybody else goes from plus 10,000 to higher. I don't know if the White Sox will be as bad as they were last year. What I do know is that
Sorry.
I think the Marlins are going to be the worst team in baseball.
I agree with you there. So it's impossible. It's got to be damn near impossible to have as bad of a season as the White Sox had last year, right? That's like capturing lightning in a bottle. You're only going to be able to do that once without. I mean, if this happens a second time, I think you just got to send that team down to AAA and relegate them. Now, I do agree with you. I think it's going to be the Marlins. I think they have above 41 wins, which, let's be real, it'll be hard to have less than 41 wins. I'm going to say the Marlins wind up with 57 wins this season, and that's the worst in Major League Baseball.
I know I was so gung-ho on the Marlins, but I genuinely forgot how bad the Rockies were last year.
Oh, they were dookie. Straight dookie.
No, I'm going to stick with the Marlins. I don't think they have pitching. Not that the Rockies have pitching either, but I think the Marlins are pretty bad.
And at least playing at Colorado Stadium, which is a mile high, that they'll get some home runs.
Yeah. Which also, since you're back on the show and you haven't done this ever, you get to play this year's ever so fun game that we established in 2021, the NL East and Major League Baseball run differential game, where we keep track of every team in the NL East run differential and Major League Baseball and go through to see who is truly the worst team, because if you're giving up more runs than you're scoring, that's a reflection of how bad you are.
Okay. So now let me see for reference what the run differential for the NL East was last year.
Sure, I'll pull it up right now for you.
The Phils were plus 113.
The Phillies were plus 113. The Braves were plus 97. The Mets were plus 71. The Nationals were minus 104. And the Marlins were minus 204. And then in baseball-wise, we are also on the hunt, Harrison. We're on the hunt for a team to give up 1,000-plus runs in a season, which, for reference,
the worst team in baseball last year let up 813, which was less than the Marlins.
Nope. The worst team in baseball last year was the Colorado Rockies at 929.
Oh no, I was saying the White Sox gave up.
Oh
less. Yeah, not run differential wise. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah,
the worst team in baseball.
Yeah, they had the worst overall differential. The White Sox did.
Yes,
at minus 306. But the Rockies gave up the most runs at 929. So, in terms of the,
are we doing like the league average, NL East versus the league average?
We just kind of compare to kind of see. It started off as a fun bit that we did in 2021, myself and Matt. And then we've evolved it to just the entire league. Where is... So there's some non-modern era teams that gave up a shit ton of runs. This is since 1962. Let's see if I can find it all time. Here we go. So the most runs ever surrendered in a season was 1,252 by the 1899 Cleveland Spiders.
Okay.
The embarrassing part is the Phillies are in the top 20 twice.
We've had some really, really awful teams.
So the second worst was 1,235. That was in 1890 by the Pittsburgh Alleghenies.
I love old-timey baseball names.
And then tied for third at 1,199 in 1930 was the Philadelphia Phillies, and in 1890, the Buffalo Bisons.
That sounds like a precursor to the Buffalo Bills.
Yes. And then in 1894, the Washington Senators did that at 1,122, as well as the 1887 Cleveland Spiders. The 1894 Cincinnati Reds gave up 1,108. Modern era, so the turn of the century in the 1900s, and the most recent team that we have gotten to give up 1,000 plus runs in a season. There have been two in our lifetime, Harrison. Number one, and the most of our lifetime, at 1,103. Well, this is actually my lifetime, not yours. The 1996 Detroit Tigers
Oof.
And
Okay.
then the 1999 Colorado Rockies, who gave up 1,028.
Okay.
So we have
So
not had a team since the turn of the century to the 2000s give up 1,000 plus runs. I need that like I need air to breathe. And I thought the Rockies were going to do it last year,
they
but
were
I
close.
really, really need it.
You know what? I think the Rockies do it this year. Their lack of pitching mixed with the fact that they have the most home run friendly stadium in baseball, it feels like a recipe for disaster for Colorado.
Yeah, I'm looking at their rotation right now, and it's a lot of their usual suspects pitching wise.
Yeah.
Hitting wise, oof. Oof. Wow, they have Tyro Estrada? Good grief.
Oh God.
Okay, yeah, the Rockies might be really, really bad. The corpse of Chris Bryant is still playing for the Rockies.
Oh, poor guy.
He's their DH. He's only
Oh.
33, too. Good
Only
grief.
33?
Just turned 33 in January.
Good Lord.
Yeah, the Rockies are going to be bad. That's gonna be something we keep track of. Is 1,000 runs against. Obviously, the run differentials. We're both going with the Marlins, but I also would not be surprised if the Rockies have the fewest wins. Who has the best record in baseball?
I know I said the Phillies win the pennant earlier.
That
I'm
don't
gonna
mean nothing in the regular season.
I don't mean nothing. I'm gonna have to go with the Dodgers.
I agree.
I mean, it's the safe bet, but
They're already 2-0.
and what have they done to prove us wrong this offseason? They went out, they won the World Series, and then they got the best pitching prospect possibly in the world. So I don't see them having fewer than 100 wins this season.
This is a fun bet. I don't know if it'll hit, but number of teams to record 100 plus regular season wins over 2.5 is plus 220. Could there be 3 teams to win 100 games this year?
Let me think.
I think the Dodgers are 1.
2. I think the Yankees take a massive step backwards this year. So
The Yankees are going to be very bad. They don't have Garrett Cole.
They're going to take a massive step backwards. So that takes them out of the equation. The Phillies could possibly break 100 wins. Possibly. I don't see any team in the NL Central breaking 100 wins.
No.
I don't see any team in the AL West breaking 100 wins.
Unless the Rangers bounce back again.
Unless they do, but that remains to be seen. I could see the Guardians possibly getting 100 wins.
I think the Guardians are very much in the Yankee category where they take a step back.
You think they're going to take a step back?
They traded Stephen Kwan.
Yeah. I could honestly see the Tigers or the Royals winning the AL Central this year. I could
Oh no,
see
they didn't trade Stephen Kwan. I'm sorry, he's still on the Guardians. They traded who was the guy they traded to the Blue Jays?
Oh God.
Andres Jimenez.
Yeah. You know, I could see the Orioles breaking 100 wins.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's like fun, fancy pick is the Red Sox to have a great year.
I think they're going to have a fine year. I think they're going to do better than 81 and 81.
They give me big dream team vibes.
Absolutely. I think they do well enough to make a wild card spot, but I don't think they overtake the Orioles this year.
Which brings us to another fun thing. We're going to predict the division winners.
Okay.
Which we already both said the Phillies will win theirs.
Yep.
So let me write this out real quick. Harrison, your AL East division winner.
Baltimore Orioles. I think they have the best year they've had in multiple years, and they really clinched themselves as the team to beat in the AL East while the Yankees take a major step back.
Your AL Central division winner.
Give me the fun one. I'm going to the Detroit Tigers. I don't have any rhyme or reason to it. I just think that they had such a good year last year that they're going to build off it this year.
Your AL West division winner.
I'm gonna go with the Astros. I really think that just having Altuve is enough to put them by in this division.
We already know your NL East division winner being the Phillies, so your NL Central division winner.
Okay. I'm going to go realistic, but then I'm also going to throw in a spicy one. So just put the second one in parentheses, right? I'm going to say the Milwaukee Brewers repeat as champions of the NL Central realistically. But spicy fun possibility, give me the Cincinnati Reds. I think they have a good year this year. I think Elliot De La...
You know who their new manager is?
Who?
It's Tito Francona, baby. He's back.
Yeah. Spicy fun, outside the box. Give me the Reds to win the NL Central.
And then your NL West.
Dodgers. It's the Dodgers.
I'm going to tell you with Baltimore, it won't shock me because I think the division's really bad if the Red Sox win that division.
I agree. But I think Baltimore takes that next step this year.
NL or AL Central, I'm going to go Royals.
Okay.
And then I'm going to say the Tigers get in as a wild card, which I'll ask you for your wild cards once I get my division winners out here. Weirdly enough, I think they finally get over the hump. Their pitching is nasty. They have dudes. I say the Seattle Mariners win the West.
I can see that too, yeah.
I obviously said the Phillies will win the East. I agree with you on Milwaukee to win the Central and the Dodgers to win the West, which brings us to the wild cards, Harrison.
All right.
So you get and one of them is a division winner, so technically 2 wild card.
2 wild card, yep. No. 2 wild card or 3 wild card, because the Braves, the Mets, and the Padres were wild card teams last year.
Oh, right. It is 3 wild card.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're 3 wild cards. Right, because the division winner plays one of the wild cards. That's what I was thinking. So your wild cards for the American League.
My wild cards for the American League, since I have the Astros, the Tigers, and the Orioles winning their divisions, I'm going to say Boston, KC, and Seattle.
I like it. And your National League wild cards.
I have a feeling the NL East is going to represent big time in the wild card again next year. I'm going to say the Braves and the Mets. And then you know what? Give me the Cubbies.
Wow.
I think the Padres have a fall off this year. Give me the Cubbies.
I agree with you on Boston. I'm going to say Detroit is a wild card. And I'm going to say
have the same 1-2 punch in the NL or the AL Central.
Yeah. I'm going to say just because it's them, I'm going to say the Astros get the wild card.
Yeah.
But it won't shock me if the Rangers get it.
We have the same playoff picture in the AL.
Yeah. I'm going to say the Braves get in.
Yeah.
Are they going to get in though? Yeah, they'll get in. They'll be.
They're always that thorn in your side. They figure out a way to get in every single year.
I'll say the Braves are wild card 1. Arizona is wild card 2.
Okay.
because their rotation is filthy. They obviously signed Corbin Burns, so like that's insane. And I'll say the Mets are the last wild card. But I don't trust their pitching. I don't trust their pitching. I don't trust their pitching at all
That's right.
across the board. But those are the wild cards there. All right, Harrison. Now it is time for the Platinum Plunk, and it is brought to you by our friends over at Kenwood Beer, the official beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's a refreshing light beer, just 4.1% ABV, 120 calories, just 8 grams of carbs. Go to kenwoodbeer.com, use the Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Maryland, New Jersey, and Delaware areas. You can also get Kenwood Beer at your local liquor stores in those markets. Again, go to kenwoodbeer.com. Must be 21 or older to do so, and please drink responsibly. The Platinum Plunk is dedicated to keeping track of the hit by pitch category in Major League Baseball for a given team, the overall MLB player, and the overall Phillies player, being we are Philadelphia Phillies fans. For everybody listening at home, you can play along with us all year long. Let us know who you think will lead the categories. Last year's winners were the Seattle Mariners, who were hit by 116 pitches in 2024. The MLB player was Randy Arozarena. I sound like I'm from down south. I'll tell you what. Randy Arozarena, who joined the Seattle Mariners midseason at the trade deadline, he was hit by a number MLB leading 22 pitches, and then the Phillies leader with 10 was Nick Castellanos. So Harrison, as we head into the 2025 season, your prediction for the team to be hit by the most pitches in 2025. I can also give you the top 5 teams last year.
Give me the top 5 teams. I already have a team in mind, and it's just because everybody hates the champions. I'm going to say the Dodgers.
So
And
last year, it was the Mariners at 116, the Twins at 101, the Mets at 92, the Reds and Guardians tied at 87, and then the Angels at 86. The Diamondbacks were at 84, and then everyone else was 78 or less.
I could see people throwing at the Dodgers a lot this year just because everybody's so like sick of the champions. And that's
Dodgers
part of the
were like middle of the pack last year. They were hit by a number of 64 pitches last year.
I could see the Mets being the team that's most hit too, just because the player I'm going to go with for most hit is also on the Mets. So I'm going to say the Mets is most hit.
So who is your player?
It'd be a certain Juan Soto.
And who is your Phillies player?
He did it last year. He's going to do it again. Give me Nicky C. That man just puts his body on the line for the team.
So my team that I'm going to take for the hit by pitch category, I'm going to go with, because I think people are going to hate them because of how annoying they're going to be, I'm going to say the Red Sox.
That works
Bregman,
too.
Devers, I think there's going to be opportunity that the Red Sox lead the league in hit by pitches. I think the player that gets hit by the most pitches, it's going to be somebody obscure. I am going to say, you know what? I'm going to say this player because he's on a new team and people are saying that he is a merchant of his home stadium, so they may try to hit him to just get him on base. Isaac Paredes, now with the Houston Astros. He was hit by 17 pitches last year. I think that number inflates quite a bit this year. So give me Isaac Paredes as the player, and then I think Alec Boehm is going to be the Phillies leader in hit by pitches this year.
I like that too.
So there's the Platinum Plunk. We'll be keeping track of that on every Thursday show. So when you guys tune in, we'll do run differentials going into the weekend and Platinum Plunk as well. I'm excited, man. I love baseball season.
I'm so juiced up. And again, one of the best parts about the birds going all the way is we don't have to wait too long for Phillies baseball now.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Also, I love this for everyone at home who is hopefully gambling responsibly. Shout out, no free shout outs. DraftKings, they have a plus 100 boost for opening day.
Oh,
Zach Wheeler, Paul Skeens, and Garrett Crochet to combine for 20 plus strikeouts at plus 100.
lock.
Love it. Love that.
That's such an easy bet to make. Oh, that's
I
such an easy
love
bet.
that. And
Yeah.
every day, shout out, no free shout outs. But DraftKings, if you want to sponsor us,
Ayo.
there's a no sweat home run every day bet. And you get a bonus bet back if you lose.
Oh, nice. Okay. That's sick.
I love this bet here on the pitchers, though. Holy moly. I have to get this in now because apparently it expires in 26 minutes. So if you're listening to this and you hear it, it's probably not available anymore for you. But
And let's go.
I love this. What is the... Let's see. What's the thingamabob? What's the overall? So you can only bet $5 on it, which fine. But that seems like easy money if I've ever seen it. Give me that hachi mochi.
Easy money.
Which now, speaking of, baseball season's here. I'll be at Citizens Bank Park 4 times in the first 6 home games.
Yes,
So you're going to be getting a lot of in-person content along with me being at Philly Sneak Peek day as well. Can't wait for that. It's going to be so much fun.
You got to be juiced for that.
You know what else is this weekend, Harrison?
What else would that be? Would that be a little something with some basketball?
A little madness, but I also do have one last thing. Who's the World Series matchup?
Phillies, Orioles. The battle of the interstate battle.
And how many games do the Phillies win in?
Give me a 6-game series.
I am saying the course of history tends to repeat itself. And we're going to rewrite things. I'm saying it's going to be Phillies Astros in 6. Phillies in 6. And the Phillies get their revenge just like the Philadelphia Eagles did.
I like that. I like that a lot. You know, if Toronto made it, I'd love to get our lick back against Toronto, but they're not going to be anywhere near the playoffs. So
yes. But as you guys are listening to this, March Madness is back as well. And Underground Madness 2025 is presented by our friends at FOCO. Shout out to FOCO. We love FOCO. They are giving our bracket challenge winner the prize of a lifetime, a nice little prize pack action there with our bracket. Plus, FOCO's powering all of our live streams for Underground Madness. They are all on board with us. Use our link in the description. And when you go to checkout now through the end of the tournament, get 10% off with code Underground at checkout. Underground 10, apologies. Code Underground 10 at checkout. When you use our link in the description and shop with FOCO, check out all of their college gear across the board. They've got amazing pro gear as well. Those neon lights are calling me like the Green Goblin mask. But use our link in the description, code Underground10 at checkout, and you'll get 10% off your next purchase from our friends at FOCO now through the end of the tournament. Little update on the bracket challenge, Harrison.
Yeah, I'm not doing too hot in that right now.
It's tough. It's tough in these streets. For sure.
Yeah.
Let me find the tournament challenge here. So going into the second weekend of Underground Madness with our hashtag 69 nice participants. I mentioned this on Monday's episode, but leading the bracket challenge is our very own DJ Hughes.
Oh, hell yeah. Good for DJ.
Followed by, I believe, Hoots, who is part of Team OTB. I believe it's one of his family members, but they lost their winner. They had Iowa State winning it all. Iowa State is gone, but they are currently in second place in terms of points, but they only have 1,080 max points remaining.
Mm.
In third place is the Sports Nut, who has 510 points, 1,710 remaining. Then in fourth, tied for fourth in a three-way tie, is Tater Renzenbrink.
That's a hell of a name.
Yeah. My boy Mikey Ostrowski, and then our very own Casey Liberator from Underground Circuit. So we have two members of the company in the top five right now, followed by a three-way tie for seventh with Mickey's Madness 2025, Chris Barnes, and yours truly. So we have three people in the top seven. And also in our bracket, tied for 10th, is Philadelphia Wings and Carolina Chaos' own Blaze Reardon.
Good job. Yeah, good stuff there, Blaze. Doing a hell of a lot better than I am. We don't need to talk about where I'm at. We don't need to talk about that.
So yeah, our bracket challenge there going into the second weekend. Some very fun matchups upcoming this weekend. I just hate how spread out these games are in terms of they're very on top of each other. Like, I wish we had some during the afternoon still. And like that is like the worst feeling ever is like once that first weekend's over, it's like, we missed the afternoon games. So this weekend on Thursday, we have BYU at Alabama at 7:09 p.m. Then Maryland, Florida at 7:39 p.m. Then Arizona and Duke at 9:39, and then Arkansas and Texas Tech at 10:09. And then on Friday, we have Ole Miss and Michigan State at 7:09, Kentucky and Tennessee at 7:39, Michigan and Auburn at 9:39, and Purdue and Houston at 10:09.
Oh. I had to be a little bit of a hater there.
It's fascinating to me that there's one double-digit seed remaining.
Yeah, this March Madness, or lack thereof of madness, has been the most predictable Sweet 16 I think I've ever seen in my life. Like, there haven't been any major upsets apart from, Clemson and McNeese, which I called, by the way. I'm very happy to say that I called that one. But it just feels like the madness isn't there. It's like the teams you expect to win are winning the matchups. And they're doing it pretty handily, too, which it's kind of a shame, honestly.
Now, while I'm bummed that like we didn't have that many upsets and everything, it is going to be nice that moving forward, most of these games are going to be like highly competitive, best of the best type games as the tournament rolls on.
What March Madness should be, like the top teams in the country competing for the top prize in college basketball.
What are your expectations for Thursday's games? BYU, Alabama, Maryland, Florida, Arizona, Duke, Arkansas, Texas Tech. 2 1 versus 4 games, a 2 versus a 6, and a 3 versus a 10.
I don't see any upsets happening here either, honestly. I think it was good for Maryland for getting that buzzer beater, but I don't see them beating Florida. BYU, they've been Cinderella-esque. I don't see them beating Alabama. I do not see Arizona beating Duke considering how close of a game they had against Oregon. And I just don't see Arkansas beating Texas Tech either. I think the top seeds move on in those games.
I want to see the Crab Five, which myself and Tyler Lochte talk about in an interview we have coming up in just a minute, move on as far as possible because that nickname is just elite.
Oh, it's elite.
Um,
I don't see it happening.
Alabama is fascinating to me because they looked like shit against the Gales in their
Yeah.
second round game. BYU was shooting the lights out of the place. I don't know. That game is fascinating to me, and it won't shock me if BYU pulls an upset because Alabama looked like absolute trash in that second game. Arizona
Absolutely.
Duke is the storyline game because Caleb Love against Duke
Mhm.
is going to be he's going to want to score 100
It's
points.
spicy.
And I don't know, like Arkansas is a 10 seed, but like they're not a traditional 10 seed. Like they're coached by fucking Calipari.
Yeah.
Like, and there's a bunch of the Kentucky guys that came with him when he went to Arkansas. Texas Tech, very good, but I don't know. Arkansas, I think, could make it a game, and they have dudes on that team that can score, including South Jersey's own. So like, I don't know. It's a weird thing, you know. DJ Wagner's a dog. That's my guy. But like, this is where I think like we could get the upsets that like shock a lot of people. Like Ole Miss against Michigan State on Friday. Would not be shocked if Ole Miss pulls the upset there. I know everyone's like, oh, when Izzo gets this far, like it's tough to beat him. Ole Miss was shooting the lights out of the place in their game too. Kentucky and Tennessee is going to be fascinating to see which team that is perennially a choker chokes harder. Auburn, Michigan, I think is going to be a telltale game. If Michigan wants to advance, they can't turn the ball over. And
Yep.
then I think Houston's just a far better and more talented team than Purdue. That's the only game I think is like a lock for the team to advance. Every other game, it won't shock me one way or the other if whichever team wins.
I'd say Houston versus Purdue is the baddest smackdown we ever see in the Sweet 16 round. I say Houston wins 145-2.
Surprisingly, Houston is not the largest favorite of the weekend.
Who is?
Auburn's a 9.5 point favorite over Michigan.
I see that, yeah.
From the games that I can legally look at here in the state of New Jersey, because there are 2 games being played in Newark that we can't bet on here in New Jersey because they're happening in New Jersey, which I think is the stupidest rule ever. So I'll be able to see those lines tomorrow when I'm in Philadelphia. But Houston's an 8.5 point favorite over Purdue.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Oh, that's so beautiful. You know why? Because fuck Purdue.
But you know what's great? You can catch all the March Madness action on Paramount Plus. Our friends at Paramount Plus are making sure every student is out there catching every absolute microcosm of a second of March Madness action. Because when you use our link to sign up in the description, you get 50% off any Paramount Plus package when you use our link to sign up for Paramount Plus. Don't miss a second of the tournament action all March Madness long with our friends at Paramount Plus. Use our link in the description. If you're a student, sign up and get 50% off any Paramount Plus package from our friends at Paramount Plus. And our interview here with Tyler Lochte is brought to you by our friends at FOCO. Like we mentioned, guys, FOCO is hooking us up all Madness season. Use our link in the description. And when you go to checkout, use code Underground10 to get 10% off any order now through the end of the tournament. Check out FOCO's extensive catalog of merchandise, apparel, and collectibles. Use our link. Shout out to FOCO. And I think without any further ado, let's cut to our awesome sit down with University of Maryland's own Tyler Lochte, who called the buzzer beater on the tournament. That was the only one of the NCAA first weekend as the University of Maryland advanced. WMUC Sports co-station director and class of 2025 from the Maryland Terps, Tyler Lochte, here on Underground Sports Philadelphia. All right, everybody, it's an Underground Madness interview exclusive with the man who brought us the call heard round the world as the lone buzzer beater of the opening weekend of March Madness 2025. It is University of Maryland's own Tyler Lochte joining us here on Underground Sports Philadelphia, fresh off a flight. And Tyler, we were just talking a little bit before we started recording, a crazy whirlwind, less than 24 hours for you. I can only imagine what it's been like getting reposted by some of the biggest media companies out there, some independent companies like our own. And then obviously you've had articles coming out today across the board. What has the last near 24 hours been like for you since your ever so genius moment to record that final possession kind of took the internet by storm?
So first of all, going into, this past weekend, most of the time we record on Mixler. But because it's March Madness, we couldn't do that because of the rights deal. And so I knew I couldn't use any audio from these games to post because it's on the Varsity Network through Learfield and with the rights. So I knew if I was going to have any clip, if I was going to have any way to get anything out there, to post anything, it was going to have to be, I had to record it on my own. So while I still did the game, I still did the broadcast, the old fashioned way. I was just like, all right, it's coming down to the wire. I don't think I've ever recorded myself doing a call like that before. But in this moment, I was just like, I'm a senior. This is my last chance really to do March Madness. I can't go next weekend because I have a whole bunch of broadcasts here. So I just put down the phone and I was like, all right, maybe something crazy is going to happen. And I actually recorded the Colorado State 3. And my call for that was something along the lines of it's happened again. There's no way. And I just ended that recording. And I just looked at my partner, Ryan, and I was just like, all right, there's time. There's actually time this time. Maybe, just maybe Maryland can figure something out. And so when the inbound came, when it was DQ, I'm a Baltimore guy. For him to make that shot, it was just unbelievable. And from my perspective, I've grown up in Maryland my entire life. The night I was born was literally the last time Maryland won on a buzzer beater in the NCAA tournament. So I've been a Maryland fan literally since the night I was born. I was sitting there with my parents watching that game. And to now be here, to be able to be in a position to call it, it's just unbelievable. And it was hard in the moment to not just jump up and down and just go, yes, yes, yes. But I kind of had a job to do there. So I'm just happy I got to record it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, great intuition by you to say, hey, this is my last shot at this. Let me put the phone down and get this footage, not only for, just the moment itself, but, for you as a memento of your senior season, broadcasting for this team and everything. That's something you'll have forever. And now it's gone mega viral, incredible call. What a moment. And, it stood to be the lone buzzer beater of this opening round and the opening weekend of this year's tournament. And that's going to be something hey, if they're listening, we got to put Tyler in one shining moment because that was the one shining moment of the opening round for sure. But as a Maryland fan, you're going to the University of Maryland, obviously, and to watch that game unravel, not only from a broadcaster perspective, but also as a student and as a fan. Take me through the emotions there of just being in that moment, what it's like from all three sides of it. From like you said, you have a job to do, you've grown up a fan, and you're also a student, and these are some of your peers. You want to see them succeed as well. What is that range of emotion like for you, and kind of just not only being in the moment for the broadcast job, but also having that opportunity to celebrate as a student and as a fan of this team?
Well, I think the easiest way that I can answer that was when everybody was asking me, like, oh my goodness, what was that like? The best answer I can give is on the surface level, I'm just happy I was there to see that play. Like, I'm just happy I was in that building to see this moment. That's the craziest sports moment I've ever seen. Like, I've been to a ton of crazy games. I've never seen anything like that. A buzzer beater in March Madness. When your team is down, by the way, where it's like
Right.
your season ends if you miss. So just to be there to see it, like that was enough for me. I think if I were just there as a fan somehow, that would have been already the greatest thing ever. But then to be able to call it, to kind of like voice it myself, to add my own, I guess, input on that. And then on top of that, to be a student and with student media, like there's perks to it. I got to hang out the entire week with my friends that cover the team as well for Maryland. And after that shot goes in, I just like send it to my group chat really quick. And they're all like, oh, you should probably post this. Because there's no way they were going to be able to listen to it back. So that was the old reason why I videoed it in the first place. And when they said post it, I was like, okay. So I posted it, put my phone in my pocket. I go down to the press conference, and that was insane. And then one of my other student, journalism buddies just grabs me. He has, I guess, some credibility with the team. Like they know him really well. And he was like, all right, we're going to the locker room now. So we just went to the locker room and we just hung out in there with the players for like a while. So that student aspect is very much still there, where it's like I'm in group chats with like some of these guys. Like I know some of these guys, and to be able to be in the locker room with them and like experience it as a Maryland student as it's happening with the managers, like boy, are they a fun bunch. It's just insane. But again, like you said, I think you kind of worded it really well, where you said it's 3 levels to this, where it's I've grown up a fan and I get to see it in person, and then I have a job to do where it's a buzzer beater of any kind is insane. Like just to call any buzzer beater. And then you also have the fact that I'm a student. This is my last chance. And it's like, that was the perfect ending.
Yeah. I mean, and like you said on social media too, I believe I saw, obviously DQ is a Baltimore guy as well. And, to have that connection between you guys now, where like you call one of the biggest moments of his early collegiate career, to this point, there's still a lot more to go for Derek Queen and this team, obviously, but now like you guys are like interlocked in history almost, where like that call of his March Madness, weekend, you guys are connected. Have you talked to him, a little bit since the moment happened? What's your guys' relationship like? And, to know that like you're kind of intertwined now with that call and that shot, for student media purposes, like you guys are connected in Maryland basketball history.
It's kind of crazy because like I said, I'm a Baltimore guy. When I was in high school, I actually called one of his games when he was at St. Francis when they were playing against my high school. So that's 4 years ago now when they had him and Jew together. And then come this year, we hear that he is committed, and that's great and all. Then I was lucky enough to be on the TV call for his debut this year, like his college debut. And he goes for 20 and 20, and that's insane. So then that gets like posted everywhere. And that's like up to that point, up till I guess last night, I was like, all right, that's the coolest thing ever that I got to do that. And then for it to kind of have that third game of, his biggest moment, of the moment that he's going to be remembered for, I guess, forever as a Maryland fan, like that's crazy that I got to kind of be there with him every step of the way. I don't really know him like that. Like I saw him in the locker room, and it was just everybody's like hounding around him because he's the most like calm guy ever. I mean, he's just sitting there in the locker room, and like there's a whole bunch of phones in his face, and somebody was just like, oh, is this why you came to Maryland? And he'll give an answer like, I mean, this is pretty cool, but like I want to go to the league. Like it's just the stuff that's on his mind. He's just so calm and collected. And other guys on the team that I'm closer with, like I know that quote came out from Willard where DQ was like, give me the ball, like when he was in the huddle. And they were like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Like DQ was just sitting there, and he's not nervous at all. He's a freshman, and he just wanted the basketball. He goes in there and he makes that play. So I love DQ. I think it's awesome that he's really representing Baltimore. I'm a proud Baltimore guy, and I bought that shirt immediately, the NIL shirt. One of my former teachers here is like big in the NIL collective here. He does a lot of work with them. So as soon as that shirt went on sale, I had to buy it. The I'm from Baltimore shirt, and I texted him, and he was like, "Oh, like thank you so much. Like you got to support it." So I would definitely have to represent that. Like Baltimore, that's so cool to have a Baltimore guy going and make that play.
Yeah, and I mean, from your perspective too, like, has it set in really that like this is a call that will go down in like University of Maryland basketball like lore? It's a buzzer beater in March Madness. It's student media, which we here at Underground Sports Philadelphia value so much. I think student media is so important for moments like this and so many other moments we've seen from, across the country with student media. So like, has it set in that like, hey, like I kind of, etched my name a little bit in Maryland athletics history with this call?
I'm so lucky to be at a school like Maryland for that specific reason, because you look around the Big Ten, especially like with other Big Ten plus broadcasts for basketball, and I think you see a lot of, adults, like professional guys on the call, at least on play-by-play. And at Maryland, we have a really, really talented group, and they trust us, and that leads us to, have opportunities like I had to do that game against Manhattan, DQ's debut. And then they post all the clips like with our audio and stuff, and then they don't really do it as much for student radio because we have Johnny Holiday, and he's just a legend. I mean, he's one of the best to do it. But I would say like one of the most impactful, I guess, posts of my call that I saw was the Maryland basketball team posted the 3 radio calls. They posted the national one, they posted Johnny's, and then they posted mine. Like all 3 of them were in that video. So that was crazy to me, like kind of that endorsement from the team itself, I guess, of that call and of that moment. And I just thought that was like the coolest thing ever.
And, to see your video just kind of make the rounds too across social media, all these different outlets picking it up. You get articles in Fansided, which is a huge thing for, I think, just like the fandom of sports as well. I think they do a great job with what they do. You see, the Barstools, Mark Titus, everybody sharing the video and it just making the rounds. What is that feeling like for you? And I'll kind of go back to like the 3 angles of things, for you as a broadcaster to have that picked up by all these outlets, for you as a fan of the team to have, your reaction, your raw emotion kind of picked up there. And then for you as a student to kind of see it make the rounds as well. What is that like, when you have a moment like that and it does get recognized and it's making the rounds like this? What is that whirlwind kind of feeling like from just the media coverage of something that you've done on the daily, for 4 years now as part of student media, kind of take on a life of its own?
I just love that it's love for student media, like whether it's love for me or not. I mean, to see Barstool Sports posting, a student's call, that's awesome. And like, I wish that we could see that kind of stuff more, because I mean, I think student media is so great, especially like for college basketball, especially, those are the guys that are going to be there the entire year with the team. Like, I know there's pro radio as well, but to have that perspective of, look, the guys on the court are students, and you can have the guys in the booth, they're students as well. And I think there's definitely a big role that we could play, I guess, in media, in calls and how plays are remembered. So for me, I mean, I just think it's all so ridiculous. Like, it's just a call that I've called big moments before. Like, I've done all of that, but obviously this is a different level. Like, once you get into March Madness, once you have a guy like DQ that's only going to be here for a year, and now he is a Maryland legend forever. I understand why I think this call was just a little bit special given the circumstances, but like for me, it's just kind of weird because like usually that's just my job. Like every time that I call a big game, like the post will be somewhere, but like it never blows up. And when I post it, I didn't expect any of that, obviously, but it's just crazy and cool to see. And I love that like our radio station WMEC has kind of gotten some love from it as well, because we just have such a big talented group. And I think that anybody that we have that was sitting in that seat could have been able to do the job that I did.
And as you're sitting there and those final moments, like you said, you had the call from the Colorado State shot as well.
Yep.
As you're sitting there and there's time on the clock still, and as the moment kind of unfolds in real time for you, obviously you're doing your job, you're calling the game. But as you're watching DQ go and make that shot as a 6'10" big man, and he makes that shot, as a fan of the game, how impressed were you just by the composure there, by that shot from DQ, and just how impressive was it in person to kind of see him maneuver his way and find his shot in that moment?
I mean, I've seen him do this, just the craziest stuff all year long. Like, if I get there early, he's doing that crap in warm-ups. Like, he's just everywhere. Like, he has so much confidence, I think, in his game, and you can see that when he's asking for the ball in the huddle. And when there was 3.7 seconds left, I'm looking down into the Maryland huddle and I'm seeing clapping. Like, I'm not seeing heads down. And Kevin Willard's message to everybody after the game was, we have time this time. Like, in the past, it's been buzzer beaters against us, so they haven't had a shot to respond. And so to see DQ, just as a freshman, be able to kind of stand up and say, all right, I want the basketball here. I mean, that's huge. Like, for me, it's just not a surprise for DQ to have that. And I think when the play was drawn up, or I guess when Jacoby took the ball, I thought, all right, it's definitely going into the hands of 25, but is Jacoby going to get it back? Like, that was the only question in my head. And there was still enough time on the clock that DQ was able to drive. And I've watched back the shot like a million times, probably more than I've listened to my own call, just looking at like different guys on the bench and like their reactions to it and stuff. And Willard, he moved to the end of the bench to get a better view of the shot. Like, it's just a crazy, crazy moment. It's an unbelievable shot. Like, there's all this talk about the travel, and I guess for me, it's just, it wasn't called. Like, it is what it is. And how often do you see that in the NBA not go called? And that's
Right.
where he's headed. So it's just crazy. Like, for him to make that shot, that situation, for him to have that confidence, it's unbelievable. Like, I love DQ, and I know all of Maryland does now, and he's just so cool in those situations.
And, as you're sitting and calling the game, a highly competitive game across the board, between Maryland and Colorado State. Just from, as you're calling the game and you're realizing like, hey, we're in for, a dogfight in this one. This is going to be, pound for pound, kind of one of the best games we've gotten, in the early go of the tournament. As you're watching the game unfold and calling the game, just the experience of being able to take in such an exhilarating game during March Madness. How fun was that, from sitting in the broadcaster chair, but also realizing, hey, I'm, on the call for what's going to go down as one of the better games so far at the tournament.
Yeah, it's weird because I was there for the entire weekend. I didn't really get to watch that much March Madness, and it seemed like whenever I actually had a chance to sit down and watch, it was just terrible games. Like, there was not really much upsets. There was I guess not that many close games. It was just a lot of blowouts. And for me personally, I went to the Big Ten tournament. First game was a blowout. Second game, we were getting blown out, and then we came back. It wasn't that back and forth. Then we get to NCAA, and it's a blowout there against GCU. So it's been like a while since I've called a basketball game like that. Probably since I think Indiana, which was a while back when Rodney Rice had the game winner there. That's probably the last really close down to the wire basketball game I've called. So for me, I mean, I've called many over the years. It's just kind of getting back into that zone of, all right, every single possession matters now. So you can't kind of get into some other thought. Like, now you've got to just call every single thing that happens. And that's awesome. Like, when you're kind of in the zone like that, and when you're just watching a really close game, and you don't really think about in the moment, oh, this is March Madness. You just kind of have to look at it as any other game.
And for you, obviously this is your senior year and everything, what's been, kind of the evolution process for you as you have a moment like you did last night, and seeing how far you've come from, coming in as a freshman to now with your broadcast journey and student media and everything. What's kind of been one of the big kind of moments to take away? Obviously last night being that big moment we were talking before. It's probably your best moment, you said, to this point in your broadcast career. But what's something you've kind of seen yourself grow and adapt to as you've gone on this journey over the past 4 years in broadcasting, and kind of found your style and your swagger on the mic?
I mean, reps. Like, I called a lot of games in high school, and I was lucky to kind of be in a position when I got to Maryland where I could really hit the ground running. And then when I get here, I start to get trusted like pretty early because I had that experience to sort of do some more TV things like I got with Plus when I was a freshman. And then from there, it was just kind of bigger games each year and kind of that slow build up to, I guess, where we are now, where it's like those kind of big games don't really phase me that much anymore. Like there was a time when I was a freshman, when there was like a 1-7 field hockey game, and it was like, all right, this is as big as it gets. And that was huge games. Like field hockey at Maryland's a big deal. And I was so grateful to be like in that. But I think there just is a difference between when you've got like 1,000 people there at that stadium, which is about as much as it holds, and you're on the other side. So there's nowhere to even near you, to now you're at March Madness and now there's all these people everywhere and everybody's standing up and you've got all these like bells and whistles like in the arena, like all these sound effects and everything. And so I think that when you have like that growth where you're just calling bigger and bigger games, then you're just comfortable the whole way.
I think from a national perspective, and like I'm in South Jersey, I'm not that far away from, Maryland and everything. And I appreciate Maryland athletics across the board. I'm a huge lacrosse guy, so I followed the Maryland lacrosse program a ton. I'm good friends with Matt Rambo. So, I think from a national perspective, sometimes Maryland basketball kind of gets overlooked for being how good they are compared to some of the other sports at the University of Maryland. What do you think it is about the basketball team that, potentially they do get overlooked by the national media? They kind of do get overlooked by the national spotlight as opposed to some other schools. And it's almost like, it doesn't phase the team, but they certainly can play with that chip on their shoulder and be like, hey, keep doubting us and we'll keep showing up and keep showing you that, hey, we're one of the big dogs in this thing.
I mean, I think it's an awesome program. I think that when there's a big game at Xfinity Center, I think it's as good as it gets in terms of atmosphere. But at the same time, I mean, what has Maryland done? Since 2003 up until this year, the only time they made the Sweet 16 was 2016. And I feel like most Maryland fans would pretty comfortably say that the COVID year, they probably would have as well. But still, like Maryland, I guess, kind of thinks as themselves, or we think of ourselves as this big deal program. And we think that that's a level that we can reach, which is great. It's just we have not been able to break through, I guess, when it's time really in March. Like there's been so many just close calls. There's been so many tough draws. I know that we had to play in Alabama against Alabama 2 years ago. And now finally it seems like that path is laid out where it's like, all right, it's go time. Like this is our opportunity. And for us to take it, I think that's huge. For Maryland right now, like I think the fan base is so special. I've got to give a shout out to the NBC, the Maryland Burner community. They're the ones that started the Crab 5. And now that has taken off. And that's like an organic thing. And that I think really shows how special of a fan base it can be, where, you come up with that name and everybody buys in. And that Michigan State crowd, everybody was ready to go to war for these guys. And then even though they came up short, very next opportunity that we had to go and support them, we showed out big time against Northwestern. We sold that game out. Scott Van Pelt helps out. He donates the shirts. I'm wearing the shirt actually right now, funny enough. But
shout out SVP.
Shout out SVP, absolutely. We have fans like him. We have, I think, a lot going for us as a program, and I think Kevin Willard is definitely the guy. And I don't know, it's just a great time to be a Terp. I mean, we just saw the women's team and what they were able to do today with their crazy win. Like Brenda's always, I guess, been at that level. So I think Maryland is kind of a sleeping giant in a way. You've got an 18,000 seat arena that will be full every night when the team is really good. It's just a matter of being consistent.
And, when you look at this team and you brought it up and kind of, parlayed this next question for me, the Crab 5, I think, is an all-time new era nickname for a team.
My uncle's a big Michigan fan.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like he told me like when I was young about the Fab 5 with, the 5 freshmen, and then now for the Crab 5, which wasn't even the starting lineup. Like when I called the game against Manhattan, that wasn't even our starting lineup. And so for it to go from not even the 5 to start the year to now the most memorable 5 Maryland's, had in years. I mean, what other group of starters has earned that nickname here at Maryland. It's just awesome. And I love like the whole crab tie-in, even though that's not our mascot. That's, I guess, the first thing you think of when you think of the state. So it's just so perfect. And the team slowly started to really embrace it. And the marketing was like waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting to finally lean into it, because they didn't, I guess, I don't know, they just wanted to make sure they got it right. And I think they did. I think it's awesome. And everybody in Maryland knows about the Crab Five now, and everybody loves it.
When I saw your quote tweet of like the post with the 5 guys with Jalen Rose and said the Crab Five, Fab, I was like, oh my gosh, that's a perfect nickname. Like it's hard. It's hard to nail the good nicknames too. Like,
and for Jalen Rose to be there at
so
their
cool.
crowning moment is just unbelievable. Like you can't write that.
And it's so hard to nail like those nicknames without them feeling forced. And that one is just like so perfect, like easy. It's Maryland. Like it's a perfect name for that group.
It really is. And again, whether you're a knower and you know why the name was created with the whole Fab Five tie-in, or if you're not, it's just, oh, Crab Five, like Crab Maryland. It makes sense kind of for both groups of people. It's just the perfect name. And I give a lot of credit to Liam Neeson. He's the one that came up with it on X. So he really has invigorated this fan base. And I think that to give the guys a nickname, and I think I was talking about this like late in the game on the call, where I was like, all right, this team's got a nickname. And the next 3 minutes, I think it was at the time, that's how that nickname will be remembered at Maryland. Is it going to be as the team that finally broke through? Is it going to be a team that's remembered as heroes? Because at Maryland, we're going to be underdogs against Florida. I think that for this group, the expectation was get to the Sweet 16, be the team to do it. Or it's going to be remembered as just another what if. What if the Crab Five were able to kind of get to that next level, and they didn't. But then Derek Queen goes and has his moment, and there you go. I mean, every member of the Crab Five in this big game scored double figures. Like, it seems like it happens every time, but it was a group effort. Everybody had their moment in that game, and that's why that group's so special.
And I think the cool thing about basketball and March Madness, and like from high school to collegiate athletics too, is like the camaraderie between the teams when there are a men's and women's side of the sport. How much do you think the success of the men's team is fueling the women's team, as they had, like you said, that amazing comeback today against Alabama, ultimately get the double overtime win? And then on top of that, how much does a double overtime win like that kind of motivate the men's team going into, next weekend against Florida, say like, hey, let's keep this thing going between the two of us and keep, these good times rolling?
I've heard so many stories of the men's team watching the women's team play and vice versa, whenever they have an opportunity. And I see, I don't know. It's cool to me, because I think I saw somewhere today that this is the first time that both of them are like in the Sweet 16 at the same time. I don't know if that's true or not, but I saw that posted, which, if that is true, I mean, what a time to be a Maryland fan. Like, that's unbelievable. And I think that the mentality on campus, at least as soon as I got back, was, all right, the men's team, they got it done. Now everybody's got to go and focus and support the women's team. And the crowd today, I think, was awesome. So that's awesome when you can kind of piggyback that energy from one team into another. And I think that helped the women's team today with an all-time classic game for themselves. That's going to be a game that's going to be remembered. And Cheyenne Sellers is a Maryland icon as well.
And, you had your flight back today and everything. And, what is the vibe on campus? What is the energy like, around that Maryland campus, with these two big wins now, and just kind of, feeling good about both basketball programs and the direction they're heading into with their next matchups and everything. And like we said, Maryland, they might be the underdogs going against Florida, but, that doesn't stop, a fandom from feeling good coming off a win like that against Colorado State.
I think that if you are in College Park right now, Florida's a scary team, but you can't give up with the Crab Five. You can't bet against them, until they lose. I mean, it's just awesome. I think that we have 3 or 4 days to just enjoy still being in the tournament. And that was a big thing for me, is because I've never had that while I've been here. The fact that we can still talk about the Crab Five for 4 more days, like it just gets extended. We can enjoy having this great basketball team for that much longer, and that's incredible. And I almost don't want Thursday to come as quickly because I just want to enjoy it. I just want to be like in the middle of it for that much longer, because it's just been awesome. Like football this year was kind of a letdown, and then now basketball just completely has picked it up. And this is the most into sports I've seen this campus in my 4 years, the support of this basketball team.
It's been so awesome to watch, and last night's game, as we record this on Monday, was electric, and your call was a part of that. Be proud of that. Be proud to be part of student media, and I know you said you won't be able to be there this weekend, but I know you'll be rooting the boys on for sure Thursday against Florida. But hey, man, congratulations on one hell of a call. Congratulations to the Terps, and hopefully they get the job done, because we need more electric calls from that University of Maryland student media.
Yeah, we're sending Ben Strober out there. He is awesome. He's like a radio personality guy, so he's gonna get the job done. Him and I, we've been doing men's lacrosse for TV for the past few years, up from the space station because the camera angle's so high. But he's gonna kill it. And then if we make the Final Four, I'll be in San Antonio with him. So fingers crossed that we can keep winning, because I would love to get out to Texas and just be able to call these guys again. But if not, I think they're already heroes in my book. And if that's the final second of Maryland basketball that I will be able to call as a student, what a way to go out.
Hell yeah, man. And I'm hoping you'll be in San Antonio. Hopefully we'll be having you on here again, talking some more Crab 5 for sure. Let everybody know where they can follow you, check you out, everything you're doing with Maryland Student Media. Plug everything you got, man. Floor is yours.
Yeah, WWC Sports, social media is just my name. I'm lucky enough to have a weird last name, so that is awesome. I could just literally write it out, so that's so cool. But yeah, listen to Ben Strober this weekend. He is just as good as me, if not better. So it's going to be, I think, a great time to be WMUC Sports right now. We have so many guys, and I hope that Strober has an even more viral moment than I did.
Hey, man. Again, congrats on the call. Congrats to the Terps. And I'll definitely be rooting for him against Florida for sure.
Go Terps. Let's cut down the nets.
Shout out to Tyler Lochte, absolute legend. If you're not following Tyler, it's at Tyler Lochte, LOCHTE, just like Ryan Lochte, the swimmer, on the tweet machine. Go follow him. He's going to be a superstar in the broadcast game and the media game. But yeah, awesome interview there. We love having the March Madness interviews this time of year, obviously. Man, I can't believe opening day is here.
I know.
I know it. Oh, I feel it in my loins. I'm just so excited.
Yep. I can't wait.
So I forget did we talk about the new food items at Citizens Bank Park?
Yeah, we might have done it like off pod though.
The new items are electric. So here's a few of the things, and I'm sure I'll see more at Sneak Peek. So they're doing cotton candy with a Fanatic mask. So every cotton candy, you get a nice little paper Fanatic mask, which is sick.
Yeah.
The Kyle's Cutlets, which is in conjunction with Kyle Schwarber's Neighborhood Heroes charity. It's a new chicken cutlet sandwich named for Philly slugger Kyle Schwarber that's topped with a creamy burrata, cheese, crispy fried pepperoni, and arugula, drizzled with a sweet and spicy hot honey sauce on Alessio's roll, and a portion of each sandwich sold will go to Schwarber's Neighborhood Heroes.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
We also have the Red Velvet Affogato, which is red velvet cookies, vanilla ice cream, and espresso. as well as the S'mores Quesadilla.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. That's going to be good.
Which is Nutella, mini marshmallows, and graham cracker crumble on a crispy flour tortilla served with a chocolate dipping sauce. Let me tell you, CFO Margie is excited for that one.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too.
I don't know. I'm just like so stoked that opening day is here. It's one of the most exciting sports days, and it's wild that it's like a week after March Madness this year
Yep.
for us. I think the cool thing is like the bozos and the dumbasses and the dipshits, Harrison, are doubting the Phillies going into this year.
Of course they are.
And I can't wait to just have this unprecedented collection of receipts.
It's
go
going to be
back
beautiful.
and dunk on all of them. Like, quite literally, the Phillies have a top 3 team in baseball at the very worst.
On paper, they are a top 3 team in baseball. Now, again, you can't take everything on paper too seriously because you never know how things are going to work out over the course of the season. But fully healthy, they are one of the teams to beat in baseball.
Like, it's the Phillies, it's the Dodgers, and then insert whatever team here. Like, I don't think the Mets overall as a team are that scary. And I may look dumb for saying that, but if you think the Phillies are not a good baseball team, I got no words for you. I got no words for you because you're just an absolute, like, you live in fear.
Yeah. You see Bryce Harper and Trey Turner and Kyle Schwarber walk up to the plate, you start quaking in your boots.
Yeah. I'm so excited. I'm going to be at Citizens Bank Park 4 times in 6 days, which I think might be a new record for me.
Ooh, hell yeah.
Let me see something actually before we get up on out of here. Like, let's look at the Phillies month of end of March, all of April. 3 against the Nationals, 3 against the Rockies, 3 against the Dodgers. Then you go to Atlanta for 3, and you go to St. Louis for 3. Come home to play the Giants for 4. You go, you stay home for 3 against the Marlins, and then you have 3 at Citi Field against the Mets, and then 3 at Wrigley against the Cubs, and then you wrap up the final 2 days of April and the first day of May at home against the Nationals. Like,
yeah,
the Phillies should win it. The Phillies should win damn near every series to start the year.
It wouldn't shock me if they went on like a nice little undefeated streak to start the year either.
I would love to see them sweep the Nationals to start the year.
Yeah.
Sweep the Rockies. You're 6-0.
Yeah.
See what happens against the Dodgers. You got to win at least 1. Take 2 out of 3 from the Braves in the early go. Sweep the Cardinals. That team stinks. At least take 2 out of 3 from the Giants. Sweep the Marlins, even though they are a thorn in our side, and I'll continue doing my tracking as I have done for the last 2 years, where I track our wins and losses against the Marlins. Take 2 out of 3 from the Mets, 2 out of 3 from the Cubs, if not all 3, and then sweep the Nationals again, or at least take 2 out of 3.
Mm-hmm.
Because by Memorial Day, this team should have a good chunk of wins with who's on the schedule in the early go. Because you look at May, after the April schedule, you have 3 against the Diamondbacks. That'll be a good test there with their pitching and everything. Then you're playing at a minor league baseball stadium against the Rays at the Yankees minor league facility. Then you go to Cleveland for 3. The Cardinals come to Philadelphia. The Pirates come to Philly. Then you go to Denver for 4 to play the Rockies. You go to another minor league stadium to play the Athletics. And then you come home for 3 against the Braves. And then the final 2 days of May and the first day of June, you're home against the Brewers. Like, this team should have 40 some odd wins by the start of June.
Yes, absolutely. This team, they have a very favorable schedule, so they better get a couple good wins in.
I'm excited. Stay tuned for everything I got coming from Sneak Peek Day on Friday, because I'm very excited to share all the happenings with you guys. Make sure you guys are following us on the socials at Underground PHI across the board. Subscribe to the pod, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave us a 5-star review. Goes a long way for helping this show continue to grow, plus all of our other shows on the network. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. It's where you get full video episodes of this show twice a week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. It's all on our YouTube channel. Let's get to 1,100 subscribers by the end of April. Let's make that happen. youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. And this show is proudly presented by the city of Vineland. And whether you're a company looking to expand, relocate, or you're a new business startup, selecting the right location is critical to your success. Vineland, New Jersey offers both an affordable business location and an excellent quality of life. The city's economic development department is a one-stop source for moving your project through the development and approval process, and their goal is to make this process as smooth as possible and to provide the fastest turnaround times in the region. If you're considering potential locations for your operation, contact the Vineland Economic Development Team at 856-794-4100. That's 856-794-4100, Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season. And big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast. This has been episode number 728, an opening day March Madness preview breakdown extravaganza episode of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Shout out to Tyler Lochte once again for hopping on. Best of luck to the Crab 5 from Maryland. But for Harrison, I'm your boy KB. Enjoy opening day. Let's go Phils. We're back and better than ever. I'm excited for this season. And Harrison, a very fun development here with 2:44 remaining. The Philadelphia basketball team is winning the tank off against the Washington Wizards.
No,
in the best way. They're losing to the Washington Wizards.
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
They're winning the tank off.
I hear winning in the Sixers, and I'm like, no, not them. Don't just please lose. Cooper Flag.
Yep, they are losing by 11 points with 2:44 to go.
Good.
Okay. But this has been episode 728. Enjoy opening day. Enjoy the tournament. Stay tuned for PGA Tour Media Day from the Philadelphia Cricket Club with myself and Stephen McAvoy as you guys are listening to this. And I'll see you on Monday as we break down the first series of the Phillies season. Get ready for the home opener and a whole lot more. But for Harrison, I'm KB. We're getting the heck up out of here. We're signing off. Go Phils, baby. Let's go.